Okay, so we are starting the class. So we are starting the class, and everybody should get ready. Get ready, get ready. You shouldn't be using your laptop while we are in the class. So again, I have to coordinate with this. Okay. Yes. We are here. I greet you all. How many topics have we talked about in this class? Do you still remember how many topics? Pardon? What's the topic? Can you give mic someone to remember? How can you talk but you're not here?
Types of conflict.
How do you know?
I know. I
not
watched the
even-
videos.
But I've not uploaded any video about this class.
I'm following up.
How are you following up?
I'm there.
Is this where the argument of today's class will start?
We've talked about types of conflict.
Uh-huh.
We've talked about intrapersonal conflict, which is man against self.
Uh-huh.
For example, depression and mental health. We've talked about interpersonal conflict,
How do you
which is man against man.
Uh-huh.
For example, a boxing match and stuff.
This is surprising. Were you with us in the spirit or what?
Yes.
Someone is rotating her. She's following her.
You asked how many topics we've talked about. I'm explaining the topics we've talked about. We've talked about 2 topics. This is the 3rd one now.
How many?
2 topics.
Yeah, why did you say three? How do you do
Because this is the 3rd one now. So, Sylvester.
Okay, that is very great. So we talked about what is conflict, right?
Yes.
Second one was about what? Types of conflict. Today we are going to look into forms and characteristics of conflict. We see them in an academic life, but then it happens on daily basis. Forms. Are you there? So I'll start by saying that there are certain forms or manifestation of conflict which we must quickly and briefly examine. We have looked at war. Now let us examine revolt, insurgency, mutiny, and but not the least, protest. Forms of conflict. Protest. That is the one we all know. Revolt refers to popular uprising against established order. Mark the differences in the international calculation. Revolt refers to a popular uprising against established order. The point there is established order. In some cases, a revolt may fester and culminate in revolution, which is described as the total sweeping off or changing of a status quo through a sustained and popular movement. Are you there? Consider these terminologies in international relations. Hold your questions, we are coming. Protest simply refers as organized mass demonstration against the government. organized an action or an unpopular policy, decisions, you cannot, protest must have a target, which means it could come from unpopular policy implemented by the government or decisions the government may have decided on something or the other. And some people said, no, this is not for us. I don't know, do you allow protests in Indonesia? And the soldiers cannot shoot at the protesters, right? Do you allow protests in Bangladesh? Protests in Bangladesh looks like Nigerian protest. I just watched last protest in Bangladesh. Do you allow it? All right. Is it last year? Last year I watched a lot of protests going on in Bangladesh. So how about Kenya? Do you entertain protest? How about Uganda? Yes or no? How about Nigeria? Do you entertain protest in Nigeria?
Yeah. Yeah, we entertain. Yeah, we entertain. Depending on the type of
You know what is mutiny?
protest.
Mutiny is the one that is an act of disobedience in the military or an uprising in security forces against its high command or against the commander-in-chief, usually aimed at dismantling established order and which may result in toppling of government. When an act of mutiny fails, the culprits usually face a court-martial, a military court, where sentences vary from dismissal to death of the people involved. Are you there? Hello? Remember, we are in the forms of protest. Number one, we have talked about forms of conflict. Forms, not types. So, it could come as a protest, it could come as mutiny, it could come as insurgency, it could come as another one, revolt. Okay. Insurgency refers to an uprising against the state. It could be led by a religious, ethnic, or sectional group. The intent is usually to destabilize the state with a view to be heard or recognized, as well as to forcefully control the affairs of the state or secede. Insurgencies have produced new states in global politics. Insurgency. Are you there? Is a Biafran agitation an insurgent? Is it an example of insurgency?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, to some extent it is.
What
Because
makes you think it is?
You are fighting against the state for your freedom. For independence. Yeah, for your independence. Yeah. Of course. You take the beginning. The beginning of that is the beginning. You are fighting the state for your freedom.
Because it's very important we know that we distinguish these distinctions, make separate separations. Revolt is not protest. Protest is not mutiny. Mutiny is not insurgency. But sometimes they may have a primary subtractum, something in common. But then you have to situate each for whatever it is. That's why if you go to court, if you don't know certain definitions, you may lose certain cases because you don't know exactly, because you are thinking something differently what you may have been fed without situating it properly. That is why as a student of international relations, you're supposed to situate terminologies rightfully. Are you there? Characteristics of conflicts. I am moving from forms of conflict to characteristics, and I know you may have so many questions, and I wouldn't like the questions to start so that I'll get to the end of the PowerPoint for before we now go back to begin to battle over it. This one pastor came around today, so the pastor, they were the one that actually started this our classroom argument. Okay, characteristics of conflict. The nature of conflict can be understood in terms of how the problems are defined and framed. I'm not sure if you get this word. The nature of conflict can be understood in terms of how the problems are defined and framed, like most of you are Nigerians here, most of you are Igbo. And then imagine framing IPOP as a terrorist group. So the nature of conflict can be understood in terms of how the problems are defined and framed. In general, conflicts between opposing parties are differences of opinion and interest. Each conflict has its own peculiarities. Their qualities are different. Some conflicts are classified in the character base of symmetric and asymmetric. That is the same thing, just like I just mentioned. Because people are agitating for their freedom. Then you now carry a heavy name and then say they are terrorist group. The conflict of interest between relatively similar parties is called symmetric conflict. That means conflict between two individuals, two employees, and two similar organizations. Are you there? Are you there? The conflict between you and myself is what? Symmetric. In the word we used the other day, can we say intra or intra? Inter. Inter. Yes. So between one nation and another nation. So it's symmetric. Say conflict between two individuals. So that's what I'm saying. Is it intra or inter? Between two employees and between two similar organizations. Is it inter or intra? Intra.
Is it organization within or outside?
You don't ask me. This is a very simple.
No, because organization can be within and organization can still be outside.
No, but we say two organizations.
So you are not specific.
Give him microphone. Let me understand what he's saying. Give him mic. Give him mic. So what I ask
My question is because you are not clear enough. You said organization.
now, let's hold it. Are you seeing this PowerPoint? The conflict of interest between relatively similar parties is called symmetric conflict.
Symmetric.
That means conflict between two individuals, two employees, and two similar organizations, etc. Then I ask, is it inter or intra?
Intra.
Intra.
Two persons within. If we are talking about inter, it should be outside. That is my own understanding.
Whether outside or inside. Yes, intra is just you.
Can we just find the correct word on this? Because inter should not be only you. If you are talking about that, you
Emmanuel
are
is supposed to be using mic to be giving people so that they will understand.
One more time.
Okay. So
The question is, I read here, the conflict of interest between relatively similar parties is called symmetric conflict.
yes.
That means conflict between two individuals, two employees, and two similar organizations, etc.
Yes. Okay. The way
Then I ask, is it intra or inter?
the way I understand inter and intra is within one. So if you have conflict within yourself, intra. If you have conflict within your country, which is one country,
Individuals
intra.
are there too.
No,
Myself,
no, I'm explaining to other people who, like Emmanuel, who has a problem.
Emmanuel is insisting that
Yeah,
it's
it's intra. Yeah, but you have said it's two people who happen to have the same similar characteristics. That means there can be two companies that both produce oil. That is inter. There can be two companies that produce fuel, inter. But if it's within one company that produces fuel, it's intra. So intra means within one, and inter means within two, between two. Make sense? Clear?
Okay. Yes, I now work. Okay. I think this then is like building on what she have explained, intra and inter. Now, the question is too clear and it's on the board. They said between two individuals, two, underline it if we have to. Then they say two employees, two. And they also say two similar organizations. Remove the similar, is it not two organizations? Eh? What is the confusion? It's inter. If it is between, if they say within the organization, one organization, then you can say intra.
Okay, now.
Thank you very much.
Now hold it there as we get to asymmetry. Conflict may also arise between dissimilar parties, such as a majority and a minority, an established employer and his employees, a government and a group of rebels, a master and his servant, etc. In asymmetric conflict, structure has possibility to top level party always win, while lower level party always loses.
Intra.
Inter.
Is this inter or intra?
Now. This is intra group. Intra.
You can come there and read that.
Okay. Okay, they say, just shift a little while you are saying. They say, conflict may arise between dissimilar parties, such as a majority and minority. Take like House of Reps, House of Assembly inside. When you're having a problem within an organization, you can call it intra group, intra state. Don't forget, if you're in the class last time, yes, if you're in class last week, we had intra-state. Yes. Like in this class now, we are arguing now. This is intra-class argument. But if the other class,
do you give the mic so that I will hear? Okay, yeah, they have mic.
but if someone from the other class now is having issue for someone, no, where is the party? Okay, now don't go too far. May arise between the similar parties, such as majority and minority. Just wait on. Let us analyze now. So, with your permission, sir, conflict may arise between the similar parties, such as majority and minority. Picture House of Assembly, one house. An established employer and his employee. Picture Oga and the boy in there. A government and group of rebel. Picture, for instance, Nigeria and maybe Boko Haram or IPOB in one country. And trying to chew it down. A master and his servant. Picture one Odogu and his one boy in the shop. It's one shop. Then in asymmetric conflict, structures has possibility to top level parties always win and low level party always lose. If Oga and servant have case, who suppose win sometimes? Normally. I think I rest my case here. Thank you.
Anybody, any contrary view? So the first one, symmetric is, you guys all agree that symmetric is inter, while asymmetric is intra. Anybody?
What did Prof say, please?
My question,
No, I'm just.
my question here is differences between this symmetric and asymmetric. That is where I'm touching, because asymmetric, in my own view, I don't know about asymmetric, but asymmetric is a conflict you don't know who you are fighting with. Asymmetric. So what I'm trying to digest is how these two parties will engage into asymmetric conflict. How possible will it be?
Okay, I think Chelsea has the answer.
In my opinion, the way I've understood it is symmetric conflict is people on the same level having conflict. For
The
example,
same level.
two
mean-
different people
You mean
with
symmetric
similar
or asymmetric?
symmetric.
Oh, okay, okay.
Symmetric, similar parties. Like we are all students here, but you're me and my Ugandan brother here. We're two different people, and we are students, and we can have conflict. That is symmetric. But asymmetric is we are all employees of a company, and you are the boss, and we have a problem. I have a problem with you. So this is a company, okay? I'm an employee, he's an employer, so he has power over me. Yeah, we're not on the same level. No, he's asked the difference between asymmetric and symmetric. So, symmetric, we're all on the same level and we have conflict. Asymmetric, there's a position of power and someone else has conflict with the minority.
It's talking about power differences.
Yeah, asymmetric is power differences, symmetric is on the same level, in my opinion.
Or any other person, any dissenting view or contribution?
It's for further buttressing of the point. Symmetric is conflict, opposition between two different parties, two different individuals. Asymmetric is conflict, argument, dispute between. Okay, within. Let me use the word is between and within. So if you get these two words clear, so you'll be able to always read in between the lines.
If you put between, it has to be within the same state.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Thank you very much. Any other?
Any objecting view? What is Emmanuel will be doing? Are you in this class?
Can we see it in a pastoral
Okay, so
view?
if you ask me,
Pastoral view.
hello, if you ask me, I think you guys have analyzed it in a common sense way, which is very okay, the way it was analyzed as you see it. But then the issue is that analysis would depend on the answer will depend on your analysis and your logic. But generally speaking, I will agree with some of you that said, symmetric is inter, simple, common. If you use a common application, then asymmetric is what? Intra. I will agree with that. But then I will also add it that it depends on your analysis and your logic. Because in my comment, someone might prove to you that symmetric could also be intra. And then psychologists will come up and say something like that and give you reason. Me and the other, the otherness and the self. And might create it without psychological kind of terminology. But for now, let's all agree that for the purpose of international relations and politics, that symmetric conflict is inter. Conflict between this country and another country. And asymmetric is intra. Conflict inside the country or inside the country. Do you agree with that? Okay.
So I have little thing to put there.
Please, what they want, whenever you get to the inter, you say like 2 times.
Yes.
Okay. Symmetric is inter.
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 You see where the problem is here.
Symmetric. This one. Symmetric is inter. Then asymmetric is inter. Okay, so another important character in the analysis of conflict is realistic and non-realistic conflict. Realistic and non-realistic conflicts. There are some distinction between realistic and non-realistic conflict. Why? Realistic conflict has specific outcome, but non-realistic conflict has no specific outcome. Are you there? The source of realistic conflict exists in every social system as long as people raise opposition claims to power, position, and economic resources, as well as argue about different values. The realistic conflict resolves easily, but it has some specific intentions. Hello, Mike, are you there? Non-realistic conflict have provided tensions and hostilities. It is created only in unsatisfactory situations. Can somebody explain?
How do you indicate a realistic and non-realistic conflict? Because I think both of them, whether realistic or non-realistic, it depends on the negotiators. It depends on the mediators.
Remember what he said in paragraph.
I understand.
Look at the paragraph 2. He said, realistic conflict has specific outcome.
Yes.
But non-realistic conflict has no specific outcome.
That is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying.
Oh, he has answer. Chelsea has an answer.
Question. Okay, the way I've understood it, okay, I'm going to use Congo as a case study. A realistic outcome is when, for example, if you demonstrate against, what is it called? You want an increase in pay, okay? A realistic outcome. This is a company, we want an increase in pay, and we demonstrate or we protest, and then the employer will add some money and then protest over. That is a realistic conflict. Because we demonstrated, there was a result, there is a realistic outcome. Now, a non-realistic conflict is whereby you all say, stop the war in Congo, stop the war, but there's no it's an unsatisfactory situation. There's no realistic outcome that can come out of it. There's no actual outcome. Everybody's just saying to stop the war, but nothing is happening. It's not a realistic conflict. It's not a conflict that can be solved easily. That's the way I've understood it. A realistic one is whereby we can talk about it, we resolve it, it ends. An unrealistic one is you can protest all you want, but there's no outcome that will come out of it. That is why I have said the way I've understood it. Yes, that's why I've said I've understood it that way.
It depends on the negotiator. It depends on how the person addresses the issue.
That is what I said.
Now, when we talk about this realistic, because I think the realistic goes at the positive and the non-realistic goes at the harmful side. You understand? Non-realistic goes to harmful. When a conflict becomes harmful, it means there is no good result. It depends on the negotiator that addresses the issue. So if let me, because if I'm a negotiator, like let's say let me go too far between Ukraine and Russia. You understand? Now, how can we picture this case between Ukraine and Russia? Could this be harmful? Could this be non-realistic, or should we call it a realistic? Now, because the negotiators, not that they are not there. There's something that happened. Wait. There's something that happened I watched on news when the president of Ukraine were invited to America, and when the president, Donald Trump, was like, he wants a peaceful negotiation with him, but the man did not accept it. So this conflict, it depends on the two parties. You and I, if I accept that the negotiator will come in, and I accept with the terms and conditions on that, then the conflict will be successful and it will be realistic.
So this conflict depends on we both and the negotiator as well.
Okay. Now let's listen to Dixon, but please, let's listen to Dixon, but please remember international relation terminologies. Be very careful. And you have to understand it clearly and apply it correctly. That is the fact. That is the point. Okay.
Okay, sir. Now I want to give a case study of Nigeria and labor.
And never.
And labor.
Okay.
Labor union, yes. Now, labor demanding for 200 and something thousand, right? Now, the federal government decided to give them 70,000, which is not what they needed. So, is this case now realistic or unrealistic?
Unrealistic. Unsatisfactory situation.
Unrealistic.
But there was an outcome. There was an increment. I'm using your example. That's why I brought it up. There was an increment.
Not the same. Not 200,000.
Hold on. The increment, the labor, it was 30,000. They increased it to 70,000. They were demanding for 200,000. So that was an outcome of 70,000.
It's a satisfactory situation that they wanted.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's not satisfactory. They 200,000. They only get 70,000.
It's not realistic. It's not realistic.
Yeah,
They are not
Okay, so let's listen to
They
Dixon.
accepted it at the long end.
Mr. Moderator, protect my interests. The moderator protect my interests. I have the mic. So as to bring another instance, but I like it that in a class, before we go into determinants and factors, let us have a good understanding of the definition of terms. Maybe not us, me particularly, because sometimes if I miss it, then the whole class, I might be building it on zero foundation. So before the outcome, what we started with, or what is the first thing there, is realistic and non-realistic conflict first. If you understand the conflict, then you can talk about the outcome and talk about the parties in the negotiation, and then the way they do the negotiation and whatever that is going to be the outcome. So I will have to beg the house to take it back to realistic conflict. And then from what I'm thinking about realistic and non-realistic conflict, this is my instance, borrowing from my brother Sylvester. If a labor union will come and start up a disagreement with the government and said every worker will be paid 1 million naira. First, it's a conflict. Now their offer or their proposition is non-realistic. That's where the conflict starts from. So this is non-realistic conflict. And then if the government now said, okay, or the labor union itself said, okay, this is what we can offer. We can pay 100,000 each to each worker. Then we know the labor union is still saying no. That is the part where I say, okay, this is a realistic area and this is a non-realistic area. So non-realistic conflict is when people are in opposition for something that can never be realized. Like a few days ago, somewhere in Africa, an honorable member is suing for about how many million or billion is a non-realistic conflict. You know, like you come and sue me for that kind of million. It can never be realized. So if it could not be realized, you call it non-realistic conflict. Yeah, the conflict is still there, but what you're asking for can never be realized. So that makes it non-realistic. Because I don't have it. Okay, for instance, okay, one more. The last one, please, last one. Last one before I drop the mic. I'll yield the mic now. I joined in a protest and you arrest me as a government and you say before I will be released that I have to pay 200 million naira for my release. Already we are having conflict, and what you're asking for, it can never be realized. Even if you sell me myself, you will not get it. So that's it. So let me yield the mic.
the government should address the issue properly. When a case is not being addressed properly, then it can result to harmful conflict. You understand? When you start ignoring the opinions, because this conflict we're talking about is different opinions. When opinion of people is not being respected, what do I mean by being respected? When you address the case, not ignoring the opinion of the people.
Define the word realistic and unrealistic before we do
But it's not about the word, it's about the real. It's about the word. It's not about the word realistic and unrealistic.
Okay.
It's about international relations.
Hello. This is see everything. I want to agree.
Okay, hold it.
I want to align.
Okay, Mike has the mic now.
Yeah.
Mike has the mic. Mike.
So please, I really want to agree with Dixon's analogy, his first analogy, and the reason is that there was a conflict. Let's just understand that conflict is disagreement. There's a disagreement. Let's understand, get this underlying understanding. Conflict is usually disagreement. So there's a disagreement between the labor and the government. For example, the labor is demanding for an increase in pay from the old increase salary, and they come to a term. For example, labor said 100,000, and the government said no, we can't pay 100,000. There's really a negotiation going on between the government and the labor. In that situation,
The government doesn't want to.
no, it's a negotiation. You cannot say if they don't, whether they have or they don't have. There is a negotiation ongoing. You understand? It's a conflict. There is a conflict here. You cannot categorically say the government have or they don't have. Let's get the understanding. There's a conflict ongoing. There's an argument ongoing. So at the end of the day, there is a consensus. Like we are paying 70,000 out of the 100,000. The moment the labor takes that agreement, agrees to that amount, is a there's an outcome. There is. Wait, listen. Immediately they agree to that proposal from the government. That conflict has been resolved. Listen, the conflict at that moment. Listen now. Let me land. At that moment, you can say this conflict is a realistic conflict at that moment, because there's an agreement now that 70,000, we are accepting 70,000. You get? Hello, are you guys even paying attention to what I'm saying? You're not. There is a conflict of interest here. The government is saying the government is saying what I have is 70,000. Labor is demanding for 100,000. The government is saying what I have is 70. It's my own example. Put whatever amount. Hello, can we listen? Emmanuel, you're not even listening at all. Can you listen to me? Allow me to land. You are making this look as though that there is something else here. This is very clear. Then look at the definition. The non-realistic conflicts have provided tensions and hostilities. It is created only in unsatisfactory, situation.
Why explaining the conflict? Please do not generate conflict.
So the point now is there was an agreement. Labor agreed that okay, I accept the 70,000 from you. They agreed to it. The conflict has been resolved. There's an outcome. What are we saying? It is clear.
Okay.
Mike.
Okay.
I demanded 200,000.
Obi Emmanuel.
70,000, and you are telling me that you have resolved my
I want to ask you a question. No, wait. This one, wait. I want to ask you something. You know what? When we talk about resolving, wait. When we talk about this word resolving, chose chose that. Let me situate this. This word chose the resolve you are talking about. Chose that everything has come to its normality. No.
Obi,
Once
Obi,
it
let
is
me correct
resolved,
you.
it means there should be no agitation again.
Mike,
Situate your pain is very well. Let me understand you. You don't give a half. Wait, you don't give a cut and join cases.
Obi,
A permanent resolve. No.
Obi,
I disagree with you,
Obi, one name,
bro.
please.
I wait. I talked about we were negotiating. I said I'm starting as a level and I'm demanding 200,000 from a government. And we enter into negotiation. You said that you're gonna come up with 70,000, and you know that you have not satisfied that interest of mine. You understand? You gave me 70,000. In your own mind, do you think that you have resolved my own problem? Because I can still come to you. You gave me half money. It's not even half of it.
Obi, this Mike,
It's not even half of it.
Mike, let me respond to this.
200 is 100. You understand? It's not a resolve. You tell me just all this one they manage your life. Not resolve.
Obi, Mike, wait. Obi, wait. That's what we call conflict management
And conflict resolution.
and conflict resolution. That was conflict management.
Yeah.
That was conflict management.
So why are you fighting him?
It was resolved.
Was he
managedly resolved.
Was he with the federal government?
That was an outcome.
Is he in the office of the accountant general?
You don't. Conflict doesn't resolve in total. See, conflict can never be resolved. Conflict is a continuous tense.
Mr. President, sir, protect my interests. I have the mic. Only with the mic, you are not allowed to speak. No.
And with the mic, sit down. You don't have to speak.
I need to say something.
Wait, let me speak.
I want to say something.
So you want to take the mic from him?
You understand?
No. Someone have the mic. Honorable member. Speaker have the mic. Thank you. Let's hear you, honorable member.
Okay, thank you, please. See, conflict can never be resolved in total. Never. We should just have that at the back of our mind.
But according to this,
No. We are, listen, let me learn. We are international students. Like we are diplomats, so you have to reason as a diplomat. Right? Conflict can never be resolved. If you have the mind that you will totally resolve conflict, that means you make a very big mistake in the embassy or any diplomatic case they've been given to you. You definitely make a big mistake.
Are you saying that there's no need to resolving conflict?
No. There is, but it can be managed.
but never resolved.
It can be managed.
But never resolved.
It can be managed.
But never
But
resolved.
it can be managed, and there will be an outcome.
Honorable member.
It can be managed, but see, the result.
Are you saying that some conflicts cannot be resolved?
Okay, no. Let me come in. Let me say. Actually, give this one is for professor. No, don't give one student per mic, please. So there are two terminologies when it comes to conflict issue. You have conflict management and conflict resolution. In this case, when conflict, first approach to a conflict might be with the view to resolve the conflict. But when the conflict gets to a point that resolving it becomes too challenging, that is not really realistic, then we can decide to shift into conflict management. You manage the conflict, like our initial instance. Yes, that negotiation started from about 600,000 to 400 to 200 and down. That was management. And don't forget, it's actually shifted from, I think, was it 30,000? That was the minimum wage, to 70,000. They were not able to meet up with the big high offer. But in the name of management, then the government brought it to 70.
That's conflict management. So conflict can either be resolved or managed.
Okay,
And
good.
this is to solve the issue of management and resolution.
Okay.
Thank you very
Question.
much.
Okay, can I respond to that? I'm with you. Relax. Okay.
All
So
of them are so doing well today.
so
Nice.
listen. You have explained it perfectly.
Thank you.
According to this slide, realistic conflict has a specific outcome, and non-realistic conflict has no specific outcome. So if they came from 600 to 400 to 200, there's no that is non-realistic. There's no specific outcome.
Hence the management.
That's what we are saying, and now why are we arguing?
Management now.
No,
You say it
think
must
about
be resolved. We say
management.
no. It must not be resolved. It can be managed.
We think about realistic and non-realistic.
Who is with the mic? Honorable member, one person at a time.
Okay, now I want to ask you something. You're talking about the management. Government has provided 70,000. Is there any promise? Because once you are giving someone a half money, you must tell the person, oh, so in next 2 years, in next month, we are going to complete the money.
Okay.
Did they say that?
At this point in time, your question is very, very valid. But at this point in time, my friend, we need to consult the government to know their position. Because you will not be asking me what Mr. President decided.
No, that is management. Not to give me money. You can't give me money without saying something on top of it.
So, but do you understand my own position that there are some questions that
if there is no answer on this case has not been managed. Yes.
That's your opinion. You're entitled to your POV.
Not to give me money. Now, my question is this. After giving the labor 70,000, did they say anything about it? Like, in 3 months to come, we're going to complete the money, or?
According to the federal government,
Yes.
they say that is 70,000 is what they will afford to pay the workers.
So they haven't managed the
They have managed it.
No.
Why? Because there was a strike. Hold on. There was a conflict. There was a conflict. Hold on. There was a conflict that made the laborers to go for strike. Right? Now, after they managed the conflict, they now came to a certain agreement and then called off the strike and workers started going to work. That means there was a kind of they realized something.
Let me ask
from
you.
30,000, which is the lowest point, to at least a bit to 70,000 is something.
Remember, they come up. Okay, remember what we are looking on here is 200,000 naira. You understand? And government were able to provide 70,000. As you said, they have managed it. Now, is that?
Remember, don't shift away from the topic.
Wait, was that?
Don't shift away from the topic because you are not targeting. You are not targeting my example.
No.
I gave you that example to clarify something. That
is a
in some situation, Prof, in some situation, it will be realistic. In some situation, it will be unrealistic, depending on how you put it.
Wait, after the
if there was a management, you realize something. There's an increase because you realize something. It was when there was nothing realized at all.
What was the agreement after giving the money? What was the agreement after giving the money? The agreement there is what we call the management. If they did not agree on anything after giving the money, then the conflict is not managed. The conflict is very real in this class.
Thank you.
Okay, now let me ask question, please. Let me ask question. Hello. Hi guys. Okay, now the one we are doing now, is it realistic conflict or unrealistic conflict? What we are doing now? Unrealistic. Yes, because at the end of the day, no one agrees.
Hello, Prof.
Oh my
Hello.
God.
Prof.
Okay.
No conflict. You ask a question that, and what are we doing now? I think to me, I would say that this is a demonstration that for the past 2 weeks, no understood this course, because we have been talking about conflict management, and what we are doing now is like we don't understand what we have been talking for the past 2 weeks. So there will always be conflicting ideas, but how do we manage it? It's not by shouting.
Yeah, but there's
Because
something, there's a question.
no, let us practicalize it so that, because now see what happened now. Wait now. Look, everybody is making points, but you all end up saying nothing because I couldn't hear what he's talking about. What you're talking about, that you are just conflicting everybody. You cannot even hear the main point here. Exactly.
So, okay, let's get back to what I asked. Please, what we just did now, is it realistic conflict or unrealistic conflict?
Unrealistic.
Do we all agree that is unrealistic? In other words, in other words,
When you are not decided whether
because I want us to use this practical example within us, among us, to know if we can understand the concept. And that's why I ask, all that we just did now, is it realistic or unrealistic?
okay, bro, this is actually,
Mike.
actually what we are doing now.
It's a two thing, because in general, nobody accepted. Some groups accepted in the realistic, some group are unrealistic. So, but if you are looking the whole concept as us, as a class, as one body, is unrealistic because we did not agree on anything. Thank you.
Okay, now, get it again. Realistic conflict has specific outcomes. Specific outcome. There's a particular outcome in question. But non-realistic conflict has no specific outcome. You know, when we speak, when grammar comes like this, sometimes the source of realistic conflict exists in every social system as long as people raise opposing claims to power, position, economic resources, as well as argue about different values. The realistic conflict resolves easily, but it has some specific intentions. Non-realistic conflict have provided tensions and hostilities. It is created only in unsatisfactory situations.
Remember, tension and hostility.
Tension can also be protest.
Good. Now, when that protest is off,
Isn't it hostility still?
when that protest is off and the hostility is off, what is it now?
No, you don't look at it. You don't look at it as a end.
You have to look at the terminology.
No, but you're
Tension
only focusing on
and
terminologies
hostility.
when it favors your point. This is the thing. You have to look at the whole conflict from start to end. Were people unsatisfied? Yes. Were they satisfied at the end? No.
Okay, let's move on. Conflict will continue. Another type of conflict is protracted conflict. These conflicts persist for every long period, some for generation after generations. Socio-economic, political, religious conditions last for years. Internal and external conditions are enhancing the conflict situation. So, protracted, IPOB meaning what?
Biafra.
Meaning what?
Biafra, Nigeria.
Can you explain why you said Biafra is a protracted? Are you?
Biafra and Nigeria has been in this conflict because Biafra have been demanding for their freedom, but Nigeria, since Yeah, but Biafra is not a country. I never said a country. Hold on. I never used the word a country. No. Oh, Jesus. Trade, wait.
Okay, Emmanuel.
Hold on.
I want to ask you. I want to ask you.
Honorary member, please. Hold on. Now. Hold on. Hold on. Point of correction, please.
Give me the mic.
He's talking about Nigeria and Biafra. I'm confused. I'm not asking. Which country is Biafra?
Okay, now hold on. Let me answer your question. It's a nice question. Biafra is not a country, but Biafra is not a country. They are agitators. No, it's not a nation.
Allow him. Allow me to Obi Mandela. Allow him. Oh yeah.
Biafra is agitators. They are demanding for their freedom to be carved out from Nigerian.
Was it a country before? Was it?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Because
Biafra was a country.
Yes. We went war with Nigeria.
when? Can you be specific? When?
Why you say like that?
To the best.
One class, please. Let's go to this class. Let's have a conversation. One class, please. Yeah, man. One class, please. He don't do his job.
I'll
do it.
Prof,
Please, one class.
to the best of my knowledge, Biafra is not a country. Because if you check anywhere, you will not see Biafra, rather you see Nigeria. So as long as I'm concerned, Biafra is not a country yet. They are agitators that want to carve out from Nigeria.
So it's a specific group of people.
It's a group of people. It's a group of people that want to, in Nigeria, that want to carve out from Nigeria and have their own country as a nation. Thank you.
Okay, so
Now, okay.
please.
Okay, because there is a question you need to address very well.
Which one?
Now, first, you were asked if Biafra was a country before. This is where I want to come in. Biafra became a country in 1967 to 1970. What is characteristics of a country? Biafra has a certain territory. You understand? Biafra, we have that territory. Biafra formed a government from 1967 to 1970. Biafra, listen to me. Biafra fed their kids when the war was going on, single-handedly. You understand? What is that country? The only thing you have to tell me is that Biafra ceased to become a country after 1970 till date. But if there was a country called Biafra, there was a country called Biafra from 1967 to 1970. They were a sovereign nation of their own.
Have their own military.
They have territory. They defended their territory and they're saying, yes.
Have their own currency.
They have their currency. They have their leader. They have their own military might. They have their own government. What? I have evidence. Evidence is everywhere. Bring your mic. Let us dialogue.
Please.
You understand? So I want to clarify you. When we are talking about a country, you should know that a country has its characteristics. The first characteristics of a Biafra, we have a certain territory. You understand? Second characteristic, we have a military. Say from 1967 to 1970. Get me right. From 1967 to 1970, we have our own government, we have our own currency, and we functioned as a government, as a state, and as a nation. So you don't say that Biafra is not a country. It's totally wrong. The only thing you have to tell me now is that Biafra seems to become a country from 1970 to date. But if there were Biafra, then there were Biafra.
Thank you. Please, can I say something?
Okay, that's your hand was up.
Okay.
Okay. For the non-Nigerians in this class, we have no idea what is happening. Now let me ask, wait, Chinedu, wait. You have said from 1967 to 1970, there was a country in this world called Biafra. I have read a lot of maps.
God bless you.
And I don't even know the flag of this country called Biafra. No, the currency. Hold on. I'm speaking. The country. Where is the boundary? Where is the flag? Where is the territory? Where is the currency? Which is this military you're talking about? Is it the people who joined? For a certain group of people who joined the military to fight for Nigeria? Okay, I can Google that.
Okay, so please, now I've googled it, right?
Now let me read directly. Okay, I quote: "Is Biafra a country? Yes, listen. Biafra was a partially, the word
Who wrote that one?
partially
Because I can
recognized,
I can write on my own and then put it there.
partially recognized state in West Africa from 1967 to 1970. It succeeded from Nigeria after ethnic tension and military coups.
Which means Emmanuel was correct.
Partially. Yeah, he was correct, but he should have used the word partially.
No, because we get about we get
Who wrote that? Who was there? Who wrote that?
So
What is wrong? Who wrote it? Who is the writer?
What's your source? My source, Chico Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
Okay.
Which anybody can.
so okay.
Are you guys got we get it?
So-
Academic, we say don't use Wikipedia because even after talking, I can go and add something there.
Okay,
And
so-
and say there is a country. So just like the man said, you can just edit it. Okay, that's the
So-
danger of Wikipedia. Everybody can do that.
Okay, so I have no quarrel with the sources and the opinions, but in a learning environment, we argue and we learn. So, and when in argument, let's pick those points that makes our argument valid, and not. We know we have some tenacious opinion, and then which we would love to be true, but sometimes let us check the determinants, the factors, the things that make up what we actually defining. Yes, I can own a piece of land area. I can also form my own security, which will be termed as defense, and so many other things. And then I can also declare independence for myself, which we've heard all over the world, several groups, nations trying to do that, and then later resolved or managed. Now I'm going somewhere. I hope I hope the message will be passed clearly. So I got to the point of when between this 1967 to 1970, I was not there, by the way. So according to records, there's a point where if you become a country, there's also what we call United Nations or League of Nations, as it were, and the rest. So there's what we call international recognition. You cannot be a nation in what they call it, something in a space, in isolation. So some of us here that we're also arguing, how many countries recognize Biafra as a country and within those 3 periods? If answer. So if you see how we are taking it calmly. If you, in case you don't know, I know of 5 which I even have to update to get it up to 5. Popular among them was Tanzania, then there was Gabon, then there was Cote d'Ivoire, then there was Haiti. And some of those countries we know. Then which other one? There was Zambia, sorry. So these were 5 out of how many hundreds of countries in the world. And at the end of the day, we recess. So while we argue and we want things to happen, shouting will not help us. We will buy your idea when you sell it well, but the shouting is not helping the classroom again. Because at the end of the day, it will spoil some of the things we know. So permit me to share this experience. So there was a time, okay, I think 2016, 2017, when Brexit was hot. So I was listening to a radio program. That should have been my very first opportunity to appreciate the context of Brexit, but they turned it, the presenters or the people in the station that day turned it to a joke. And the other one said, oh, the only Brexit, was the bra and the brazier of the wife and all that. And that is stuck in my head till today. I have to, on my own, later on, to go study what Brexit was. Because when you turn it to a rowdy environment, that learning that was supposed to take place, some people will just lose it. And then if we take it easy, we will understand. So part of being a country, population, landmass, everything, international recognition is also very important. Thank you very much. No argument, by the way. And it's just observation, or not the argument.
For the rest of us who are not Nigerians, I will say this again. The way we've understood it is that Biafra, first of all, was never a country, but the people in Nigeria recognized it as a state. Let's agree. No, not you, Chinedu. Leave alone Chinedu.
Let her learn.
The way I've understood
Yeah,
it,
definition
because
of
it looks like a lot of Nigerians understand what it is, but the rest of us don't. So that can only mean it was never a formally recognized country worldly. However, that does not mean that in Nigeria people did not segregate themselves and associate themselves as part of being of this state and of this quote unquote country. But it was not an international recognized country. Let's get that straight.
Okay, so any more?
It's going smoothly now. Please, the next person should also maintain this tempo. Because
Everybody has a work.
we are on record.
Okay,
Which kind of communication class would that
it
God bless
looks
you.
like I was triggered because there is a question.
Forgive us.
This very issue is a question each and every one of us, will I say, we have to know that this nation existed before. It's not a question that if we were asked, and you know that you are from the side we're talking about, and you should have, would I say, you have to know everything about this because you're from there. So Biafra got their, like I said before,
To take the mic. Give him the mic.
like I said before, for those of us who are not Nigeria, I will try to educate just briefly on this for people who said because you said you don't have idea of Biafra being a country before. Okay, it's not your fault. You understand? Biafra became a country, you understand, from 1967. You understand? To 1970.
Was it ever a worldly recognized country?
Now, wait, we have 5 African countries that recognized Biafra. The reason the reason international body couldn't be able to recognize Biafra then was first because of Nigeria. Most countries who were allies with United Kingdom, we were colonized by United Kingdom. And because of the alliance they have with them, they want to make Nigeria to remain one. Secondary is because at that time, there is no provision, would I say, a full provision for mass media then. If it happened in this era that the mass media has been available everywhere. Believe me, it will be recognized because we wage a war that no country in the world has done. You understand? Now, what I'm trying to let you know why the international community, the United Nations, the EU. Now, many countries we see have Nigeria in mind because of economy, the interest they have in resources we have over there. You understand? And because of that, they were not able to recognize Biafra. And during that war, there were not diplomatic movement going on because we were concerned on our community first to make our community safety. You understand? We don't have people who we are going for diplomatic movement in United Nations for the recognition to different countries in the world. And you know, in those days, means of transportation is a little difficult. Means of public opinion in mass media is a little difficult. So there were no full circulation of information of the war we wage with Nigeria. You understand? So yeah, the civil war. But I'm telling you that up until now, to tell you that the ideology can never die. The only thing that will happen in this world is for you to kill an ideology.
So is it correct to say
Yeah.
that Biafra was never recognized as a state or a country internationally, but it was recognized within the country?
Now,
That's okay to say that. Is that correct?
now, wait. If you say like this, it's good because it weren't recognized in the global, yeah. Yes, yeah. So, but for it to exist as a country, it existed 3 years. Thank you.
They are not decided.
Okay.
Look at the.
Maybe because we have a new coordinator that I think I want to say something.
I want to say something. You know, last week we agreed that.
Please, can you give a mic?
I'm not.
It's point of order.
No, the last time we
You don't need to refer that because even if if you are owed hour, you are owing. I'm owing that, so no need to talk about it. Let's talk about our topic. It doesn't. It's not deleted. Even if I complete today, it means another day is going to be given taken away. Okay. So forms of conflict. Okay. Now I think we have deliberated on this very well. But then another point I want us to talk about: how come that each time in developing countries when there is a protest, is a kind of shoot on sight? Is it shoot on sight or shoot at sight? Why? But in most developed countries, it's not like that. Somebody must resign or something will happen positively. Okay. But in our own, most of all from developing countries, you can see the soldiers killing the protesters. Okay.
I will use an example of my own country.
Yes, which is Kenya.
Kenya. Yes. It's in East Africa. It's in East Africa. It's okay. You can continue with the humor. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, yesterday there was an interview. If you want to have a peaceful class, then you also have to avoid the mockery. Please. No, please. I'm serious. Anyway, so yesterday there was an interview of our majority Speaker of the House, where he went on Al Jazeera to talk about the protest that was there last year. And he said a sentence that it's unfortunate that lives have to be lost during the protest. That's what he said. And I quote, "It's unfortunate that lives have to be lost." And then the interviewer said, "No, lives were not lost. Lives were taken because people were shot on sight." Now, that kind of mentality with people in power in developing countries, that lives, every time there's a protest, lives have to be lost, no matter what. That's the kind of thinking they have. That every time people go out on the streets, people must die. In short, protest is equals to death. That is how the African or global South mentality equals. Because the only way to quell protests and to quell mutinies in their minds is force.
But why? Why should it be like that?
Because, how do I explain it? In a developed country, there are systems put in place and people trust these institutions to do the work for them.
Why? Why is it like that? Have you ever investigated and asked why?
Let's start with the reason why they've already have 200 plus years of dealing with this sort of issues. They know they've perfected their institutions. We've only had 60
Then
years.
psychologically, have you reflected why it's like that in developing countries, especially in Africa?
Let's start with brainwash. We've been brainwashed.
Which kind of brainwash? Which is the nature
It's
of the
media, it's corruption, it's religion, it's everything that they're feeding to us.
Given globally,
Yes.
can you recall in any educational setting where children are being flogged?
Yes, in Africa, children have been
Do you know
flogged.
the history of flogging someone in Africa?
I think it's just to instill discipline, like my mother would say.
Uh-huh.
They're
To do
not
what?
beating the child, they're beating the mistake in the child.
Where is it coming from, the history of flogging a child?
It came from the colonizers when they would flog Africans. They would flog the slaves to keep them in
who were they
line.
flogging then?
Africans.
Okay. I just wanted us to get certain things that might lead, because
Yes.
one thing might lead to another. Because when these people came to developing countries, they gave something that looks like wonderful angels, but they put something that will keep Africans perpetually poor and dejected people, in my own view.
Yes, and I agree with
Including
you.
the leadership in Africa.
Yes.
So that is why sometimes you see, in my own view, with the little research I have done, certain things started from certain places because of certain things, and it continues to be like that. And that is why almost Africans, if you do a lot of research in one country to another, then whenever you see an opposition, ask yourself, who is sponsoring the opposition?
That is true.
Who is sponsoring the opposition?
The government always
Let's say in your
sponsors the
country that
opposition.
somebody don't like became a president. Do a thorough investigative journalism. Then ask yourself, who is sponsoring that person? How come? Look at Nigeria, for example, that we just completed the election. And remember, it was the time the Niger was having issue. And then it was also the time the Supreme Court will say one thing or the other. And it was also the time our president immediately supported France and all these global powers. Could it be that he was trading something? Could it be that something is going on? So, come on. But at the end of the day, leave the leaders alone. In my own view, I may be wrong. Leave the leaders alone. Ask yourself here as an African, how do you see a fellow African in a leadership position? Because I've seen a situation. I will handle a document for an African, but a lower staff who is a white collar is being given the required respect. Why I was the one that invited the staff, but because he is a white in color, we call it white, or don't know what, but because I'm black, because I'm an African, therefore, it is something psychologically embedded in us, consciously or unconsciously. Even myself, as my little position I have in this school, sometimes you can see an African listening to someone, just let me call it a student, listening to a student attentively, seriously, unlike myself, that even has the power to make a decision. So, if you are, and most of us here are Africans, so we need to get, when we must have, if we start historically, then you have to ask yourself, currently, where and how are you affected with that sickness? Because sometimes it's very simple to argue in the class, to analyze in the class, but just here and now, how do you feel when you come to an office, an African is in charge, and you're also an African? Because it started from kindergarten. We are made to think that everything we had is for a lower standard. Ask an average Nigerian struggling guy in Nigeria, he would like to go abroad. You see that? And you go to abroad, sometimes they treat us like inhuman. I mean, they treat us like brute animals. But when you see a white person in Nigeria, is treated like almost a god, respected, honored, and seen as someone who does not lie. But then within ourselves, we see ourselves, if you look at it culturally, religiously, psychologically, philosophically, then you ask yourself that you and I have have a serious assignment to do. It's not just to analyze about what happened in the past. Okay, this what I've just said now in my own analysis and my own opinion from what I have discovered from what I read. But thank God that I've worked on it so much that I think I've removed 20%. I don't know how many percent remaining. I don't know about you, especially the way you see each other, not just people that have died already in colonial situation, and especially the way we respect each other, and especially the way we get into each other's business life in order to determine for the person, get each other into each other's private life in order to define what you think this person should live and what should be. There's also a culture kind of a crash over there. And yet, we are comfortably in a different country, relaxing. And yet, you are carrying all these baggages in your. What are the contents of the baggages all of us are having from Africa? Believe it or not, it's a Christian baggage, not African traditional baggage. Because I've been made to think that heaven is somewhere we're waiting for. And we must go there. And that's why my name is Emmanuel. Don't even touch it. Each time you touch it, an average African wakes up. We're here in the class thinking that the solution is what happened over there. And we're not even ashamed, even up to today, that I'm answering Emmanuel, a foreign name given to me. And believe it or not, I'm still expecting that if I die, either I go to hell, I go to hellfire. Because the destruction started from kindergarten, primary school, secondary school. Believe it or not, it's very difficult to actually get away from. So it's not a question of the past. You have to ask yourself, look at the Thailand we are comfortably. Well, they are waiting for heaven, right? You think so? And you and I are here comfortable. And the country Africa we came from that is waiting for heaven every day. We are running away from there. Why not we stay there in that heaven and enjoy it? And all of us are here, tell the person to go back home. Problem. Even if the person goes back for one thing or the other, 1 week, 2 weeks, he wants to come back to a country that doesn't even believe in Jesus Christ or whatever. I mean, who is deceiving who? My fellow students. That is the point. Okay. Someone wanted to say something.
I really forgotten, but if I must start from your speech was so long. So, but I will start from the context where you ended. Who is deceiving who? Coming to this place and still wanting to run back and all that. This is just a leadership problem.
Why the content? Because that is very easy to say as an African.
Yes,
what
as
is
an
the content
African.
of the leadership and who created the problem? Because your pre-colonial African society never had that kind of problem. Who created it?
Now,
And how wouldn't that be created when we actually insulted our forefathers and considered them to be barbaric, rebellions, and then we are pagans? Come on. We are talking about Biafra in 1967, right? But do you know what happened in 1948? Who can guess? Do you still remember what happened? When was World War One? And when was World War Two? When was World War Two? Then, when was the time they all met in Berlin and decided partitioned Africa and distributed Africans the way they want? Don't forget, most of the wars were done by Africans because they're black monkeys. Don't ever forget that. That sometimes the white people kept their people there. When you talk about Second World War, even I still remember an eldest man in my town that said how they went to war. I think it was in Holland that he served. And some of them even come here in Myanmar here. Myanmar, where they dumped many Nigerian soldiers, mostly from, come on. When do we really go into our history to start deceiving ourselves and talking about every time an average Nigerian will tell you leadership problem, leadership problem? Have we investigated the psychology behind the leadership problem?
okay, so if I may continue from where I stopped, like I said, it's a leadership problem. Why? I'll use the example of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan's administration. Now, he's a man of integrity.
Who says so? What makes him a man of integrity?
That's my own point of view.
Then you can say your own point of view.
That's my own
but you
point
didn't
of
say it
view.
before. You said
That's
you're a
my
man
own
of
point
integrity
of
without
view.
adding your own point of view.
Okay, that's my own point of view. He's a man of integrity. Why?
According to
Why?
Chika.
Reason because during that election, we know that there might be a lot of bloodshed.
Do you know how many bloodshed that were done systemically, symmetrically during his tenure? Bloodshed mustn't be one that you are here. We have to think more than that.
Systematically, those bloodshed.
Do you know how many people that the policies I'm not talking about him, but I just wanted to see bloodshed not only from that physical point of view. Because bloodshed is even itself that you're in a party and you're in a country and you know that you guys use money to buy votes. You guys use money to do so many things and people are suffering in that country and they are dying on a daily basis. That is also part of death. Don't wait until when bloodshed comes and then
Of course,
because he said he he couldn't contest the election and then he said, okay, he congratulated the other person. How many would have died? And you know how many people that used to die every day for that particular leader to have shared the money that's supposed to be for the people? Roads are not there. Hospitals are not there. Educational system, something else.
okay.
I'm not. I'm just trying to let you see this other part of bloodshed. I'm not. I'm not attacking you.
No,
but it's good to see that other part of bloodshed.
I've seen the bloodshed you're talking about, but let's just imagine that this man still clinged out to power. What do you think will happen in
Nothing would have
Nigeria?
happened.
Sir, more bloodshed. You and I, you're Nigerian, sir. You and I knows that a lot of things will go
How
wrong.
much they found in Lagos where they packed money? Have you guys forgotten that? You know, one thing with us in Africa, we just think at this month we forget. Do you know how much were packed in a room in Lagos? Do you guys see that video? I don't know if they have deleted it that time. And people are suffering in that particular country. Come on. At what point do we criticize critically? That is why we glorify people who shouldn't be sent. That's the point.
So you don't glorify,
It's our
you don't
responsibility.
glorify people who shouldn't be sent. But like we said, this is conflict, right? He managed a conflict.
Who managed? According
luck.
to you.
Good luck. Good luck. He managed because
No, don't.
wait.
I won't use that
In
word.
my own opinion, excuse, please.
I won't use that word.
I'm using him as a case study. In my own opinion, he managed that conflict because if he never handed power over and allowing Buhari to rule, there would have been a lot of commotion in Nigeria today. You and I
Is
know
Nigeria
that.
better
That
than-
is one.
Is there
Hold
no
on.
commotion
Two.
today?
I'm coming.
The commotion that is today is
I'm
not
coming,
better
sir.
than
I'm
what
coming,
we
sir.
are
I've not landed, sir. I have not landed, sir. Please, I'm coming. Secondly, the current election that happened, right? If
Peter,
our no, not P2B, if our current president did not win the election, you and I knows that the Nigerian that we know will not be the Nigerian that it is now. There will be a lot of commotion also. Despite the fact that P2B contested in court, right? But the judges danced, in my own opinion, please.
thank you.
The judges danced to the tune of our current president. One, for the money. Two, for the lives of the citizens. Reason, because if that is not being done, Nigeria will be in commotion. Thank you.
I have something to say.
Anyway, that
I have something to
With
say.
the topic, Abi.
anyway, that is
Please give me. I want to speak on this, man. Okay. No. Wait.
allow him to say to express himself whichever way he wants.
Actually, when we talk about Nigeria political system, is something that many authors, many professors Many expertise have come on a round table to solve, but it's unsolvable. Now, reason is this: there is a lie behind the politics we play in Nigeria. First, I would like to hit a point on protest. On the basis of the question you ask, why is protest? Why police keep on shooting people? Why there is a protest in most developing countries? Whereas in developed country, they have a peaceful protest. Nobody shoot on them or humiliate them in the highest order. Now, let me come on that. In African settings, I will start from colonialism to briefly let us understand, because if you are as a master in peace,
No, I wanted to say something. Just this is very, very important. I know why. Please, it's very, very important. I know. No, I'm not moving away.
Why did you give
For
it?
the record, whatever I said is allegedly. Point of collection, allegedly.
What is so special that you have to
Because
say
this
that
is
it's
going
alleged?
online. It's
Huh?
allegedly, please. Thank you.
You don't need to be scared, because that is one of our problems. Please know you are right and you are saved. Because when we carry this kind of fear inside our brain from developing countries, we keep living in fear unnecessarily. This is just a classroom, and an interactive classroom, students are free to say whatever they want to say. And I don't think anybody has said go and kill anybody. And that is why it's an argumentative classroom. And by profession, my areas is philosophy, where we argue and argue and argue and critically look at things and not to believe because someone has said it. So I wouldn't see any reason anybody should be scared because we are online. This kind of fear, we have to fight it in life. At what point are we going to be free? So in this class and in my class, henceforth, since I started putting it there, just by the way, you are just, nobody is actually dictating. I'm the one that camera I'm going to come, and if there's anybody that will ever think about freedom of expression, please let us study and study deeply and know our basic right, especially when we want to do certain things. So please, this is classroom where students are free to express themselves. And that is necessarily why I'm very happy that I have this kind of class, so the others will be learning. So I wouldn't like anybody to be scared of allegedly. You can hear that, say that kind of thing in Nigerian system of doing things, not just in this class, allegedly, because of fear of, come on, give me a break. Come on, give me a break. Freedom, we should be free. The high time we learn to be free, the better for us. Because when we are psychologically traumatized every time we are scared of something that doesn't exist. I mean, it doesn't help us. This is just a class presentation. Nobody is killing anybody, but students are sharing their point according to the question raised by the student, by the teacher. And students are interactively sharing that. And they allegedly. Because I used to see something like that in the Facebook. It's in Nigerian Facebook that they do. How can you come in a classroom and then think you're scared? Come on. Allegedly. For what? Who told you that? I beg, give me a break.
Avoid suing for defamation of character.
There is nothing you have said here that you have defamed anybody if you study it very well. Come on, guys, let's study very well and know all these tenets of human rights. Study very well and know tenets of even yourself, you made mention of the fact that this is your opinion.
So where is the defamation?
And you said this is your opinion. Have you ever seen where somebody defend because he said his opinion, especially expressing himself in a class? Come on, I beg. And this is a conflict class to start with. This is a conflict class to start with.
So
I beg, please, let us be teaching people this kind of a thing. Should be free, because I see most of us that are talented, gifted, but fear of one thing or the other. Even in this country we are talking about, we said it last time, so many job opportunities, but most of us are carrying fears. That fear is started just what we are saying, colonial masters. If you talk, I'll flog you. Koboko, what do you call it? All those, the way they were flogging black monkeys. And we carried it in primary school, kindergarten, primary school, secondary school. How many of us were flogged in secondary school? Try that kind of nonsense in Thailand, then you know the difference and why we are suffering. Go to you are teaching in Thailand, right?
Yeah.
Go and flog Thai
You
students.
can never try such.
No, go and try.
done anyway.
Shout at Thai students
Can't
for you
you
to
shout?
see where our problem started.
Even when they slap you, you clap for them.
Go and shout and shout on any Thai student. Then you know if you don't see, that is where psychologically we are dismantled, taking life so serious unnecessarily. Come on, give me a break. Allegedly, for what? In this my own class? I beg. Say your mind.
Okay. In my own opinion,
I am the one to be held responsible, not you.
in my own opinion,
Okay, continue.
I would love to start from colonialism briefly. So, there is a novel I read written by William Shakespeare, The Tempest. It pictured African and the West, where Prospero were standing as the Western person and Caliban were the African, and the Prospero were attributing Caliban's mother as a witch. You understand? So in that novel, there was will I say, a story of how Africans were colonized, subjugated, humiliated in the highest order. And that were the psychological effect of what is rigmaroling in our brain, causing dementedness in our brain that made us not to reason properly as a person. It made us not to understand when our right is being marched on and when our right is being given to us. Now, colonialism in Nigeria, to be precisely, has done more harm than good. Because ever since we had our independence from British, from 1959, from 1960, we had the independence. Nigeria, we are doing well in economy. At the side of the West, they were doing perfectly okay. At the side of the North, the economy is growing. At the part of Eastern region, the economy is growing widely. Along the line, the British colony noticed that these people is now becoming more economically strong. And when I leave them, I may not be able to control them. That was what happened. And there was an instigation of coup, which led to the war. Now, we have listened to IBB.
Okay, now hold it down. Okay, now hold it on there. Hold it on there, because otherwise the class will be a waste without learning anything.
Okay.
In this your analysis of British government, analyzing Africa, analyzing Nigeria, situating it for their own selfish interest. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And I agree with that. Do you see yourself as today situating yourself in your own selfish interest and dealing with a fellow African? Because this is no, even if you don't get the answer, because that is the problem. And when we sit in the classroom, we analyze things in the past, which is very good to help us in the future. But we have to also challenge ourselves. What are we doing today? Because they manipulated the system, and they are still manipulating it today. And go to their country. Where do they have the resources? Which resources? They are still milking Africa till today. Do you know the history of France and the Mali? And all this, the current queue in Niger. You know that they can go to Niger and get something, and Niger will pay for it. And they will go and renovate it or whatever, and sell them back to them again.
With a high
and
cost.
then, can you even believe what is still happening now?
No.
And that is what happened. And three of them, they camped and then said they are not part of ECOWAS again.
Yeah.
And your president was in charge of people, begging them to come and join ECOWAS. You're talking about the history of the one that is even happened before you and I were born.
Yeah.
And today, we are here experiencing a different thing altogether. Even after, apart from that, even here in Thailand, how do you even handle things in order to make yourself a proud African without being maneuvered, without someone coming to make you less a human? Because this is where we situate, we get the question. This is where we get the correction. We don't get the correction with all this reading and then junketing and then moving from one novel or one history to other. Very good. But
Yeah.
how do you implement it in
Okay.
your own life today?
In my
Are you
own
not
life,
ashamed how with the way we've been treated in this country as something?
I'm very, very ashamed.
Then
And
what
at some
effort?
point,
If
when
all of us in this room now decide to say no and decide to live better, and you think the concept will not change?
I think,
Because my fear.
even though when we decide to live
No, it's
better, the
not.
government
Don't
may
go to
not
that
allow us.
negativism.
Yeah.
Listen, don't go to that negative. It's not true. You are sitting here for me. You are sitting here, and I'm in charge in this class, and I'm an African. And I came into this country. I've been lecturing to today, and it's been long. And I've never been slave to anybody, any agent to give me a job. I made it myself. I tried, and I said no to it. So you ask yourself, what effort are you making? It's a challenge, and you can. That is if you don't if you're not with the mindset of allegedly. And some of us are doing the Facebook allegedly because we are so bedeviled with fear that we cannot even stand. So the problem is not even analysis, all this analysis. The problem here and now. How do you carry yourself in Thailand? Because you know what, even most of you, when you see me, think I'm a gentle. I could be a very gentle person, but don't ever step on my toes, whoever you are, including this place. Because I know where I'm headed, I know who I am. So the point is not all this analysis and this history and knowing them. I allow that is perfect. But please, situate everybody should situate it here and now. Here and now.
Okay. Here we are talking about. I think it's a personal exercise now because everybody has to work on his or
When
herself
did you discover
first.
that you should work?
And
when did you discover that everybody
okay,
should work?
immediately
Today? Is
when
it today?
it's not today because
Uh-huh.
when I came to Thailand first, I found a very
Do you
far
know that
difference.
sometimes I'm ashamed of most of
A
you
very
because
far
when I see the way
difference.
you guys reason and act, I just felt that there's no hope.
Because you cannot compare the behavior of people who were free right from child to compare us
That
who
is a
were
better excuse, but you are free to
it's
come
not
here to study now.
it's
That
not
is
something that someone can just
that's
wake
the
up
lazy
one
man's-
morning and
that's the-
start working on himself.
Listen, that is the defeatist mentality. Defeatist, I mean defeatist, but someone that feels that has been defeated. Forget about it. It's not true. Anything you want to be today, believe it or not, if you don't stand on it today, you're not going to get it. It's only because who are the people surrounding you? How many are your friends? What is feeding your mind? And how are you moving on? You're standing here talking to your fellow Igbo who made it in Thailand, despite all this bullshit and stories. You know how many stories against me among the Igbos and whatever. And still I stood by my ground because I know it's from jealousy and envy, and they cannot climb there. That's the fact. Whether you like it or not. But it doesn't mean that some of the stories or whatever is not true. But at the same time, I'm moving on. So I wouldn't like to live in this dungeon of negativism into thinking because from the childhood, believing that I cannot be where I want to be.
Bro, most of us
Don't prove me.
no,
Because I want
we have gotten that education.
Don't prove me.
We are civilized.
Don't prove me.
The
I want
problem
you
we
to be
have
prof.
now,
Listen, I want you to be
have
prof.
now is back home.
I don't believe that.
Because
I
you cannot.
I can't keep blaming
Here
parents.
we have law.
I can't keep blaming.
There is a law
parents.
here guiding the territory.
Then have you kept the law? Have
And
you kept the law?
yes.
Now, excuse me.
Yes.
Let us Nigerianize this class because I have stories to tell you that is not, you are wrong.
Okay.
But we can even see some of us here making little money and go to the party and how much they spend. Some of us here driving the kind of car that people in the country never tried. Come on, give me a break. There are systemic kind of distortion that depends on you if you want. And because you woke up today, showered, and knew that you know how to wear your clothes, and you knew that you know how to make girlfriend, and you knew that you can chat with somebody, every other thing you can do it, unless if you don't want to do. That's the fact. There's no need going back to say because people that because they are from childhood giving a come on.
This side, this
can
part,
you grow? Can we
this
go
part
with
is
this
where law comes in. When we go back, you will find that the law is meant for the power masses, not for the political elite.
You are still going back to the
no.
back.
When we
I'm
come
telling you here.
when we come, when
I
we
want
come
you
from
here.
Nigeria- yes,
Hello.
because that is the mentality we
Hello,
have.
guy.
And
I
we have
want
to work
you
it
here.
now. You
Here.
understand?
Go and do surgery, mental surgery, so that you remove this concept of there. It doesn't work for me.
But-
What works for me that you are intelligent and you should move on with this intelligence and make sure you grow from it and make sure you stand on it and tell yourself that you have to provide yourself what you want. Great personality. We said it in, is it in peace studies and governance?
But after
Great
everything, we
personality,
still go back home.
because you are thinking negative, because it doesn't work.
We still go back home
You
and
should
meet
go
some
back-
people there.
do the one you can do now. Do the one you can do right now.
There are people, you talking this, there are brothers who are living over there, United States, Europe, and many other countries who have gotten that information, the information, integral information
You have the
and they
tendency to
are afraid
push
of
out.
going back home because
You have
they
the
know when they go back home,
tendency. We are not talking about going home.
must happen.
You are
over
very
there.
correct in that
The
aspect.
system
but I'm-
cannot work.
You are very correct in that aspect, but I'm asking you right now, that you are more than what you are putting yourself. I am talking. Listen, there's a specific psychological outcome. There's a specific psychological healing here. Because sometimes most of us are just down. Come on, right now here, tell yourself after this class that you're more than you're more than what you're seeing yourself, and you must get to where you want to be, and nobody will stop you there, unless the problems come from you. Come on, as intelligent as you are more than what you have. Okay, now hold it there. Thank you very much.
We come from Nigeria to have a better life, and most of us are having a better life. And most of us who came here, we go back with a better life. You understand? So the Nigeria we came from there to here, it doesn't change anything in our body.
My dear,
no positive.
I told you that you need a mental surgery to get
We have already
that
mentally surged ourselves.
to get that kind of negative belief. To stop that negative belief about yourself, and then stop the idea of stop the idea of pushing it there. You that I'm seeing, you are gifted, you are intelligent, you are brilliant. Therefore, stand with it and forget about the rest, and you will be fine. Hello. Okay, so I will give you some time so that we round up. Can you go and break out? Okay, we end up this class in this way, and then this particular part of the class.